All right, so I'm picking back up where I left off on the 1972 dash. And I'm gonna tell you in this video the good, the bad, and the ugly that has to do with this dash. Or I should say with 1971 to 1974 B-body dashes. This is to my 1972 Dodge Charger, the blue one, not my mom's car. I went the route with a dash cap on it. I think the last video I left off on, I showed you that I kind of boogered up this corner. So the good cap, the dash cap, this is a dash cap, it's not an actual pad. I put it over, I patched up the original pad, put this over it. The good is this is cheap. This is a very cheap option. Another good is that it looks phenomenal. I mean, it looks absolutely gorgeous. I have no complaints about how it looks, but there is a bad. So this is the bad. The problem has to do more with the design of this particular dash, because this dash has an opening here where you either have a fill panel go in here, or if it's an AC car, you're gonna have the AC vents here. So the dash cap is basically a material going on top of your dash. So this area is actually part of the dash pad. So when you put the dash cap over it, because it's on top of the original dash pad, basically your thickness increases this way, right? In here, out here, not noticeable. It doesn't really affect anything. No impact whatsoever on any of the outward parts of the dash. But because the space in between here is only so big, and you got to put this piece back in it, it gets smaller when you try to put this in there. So I had to do a lot of modification to the corners, to the dash underneath, to try to thin it out, to try to cut these corners so it'll spread out more, so I could get this piece back into it. And in the process, I kind of damaged this. I was debating, you go through all this trouble to make it look beautiful, and then you screw it up like that. It's a lot of you guys in that video basically said, don't worry about it, just move on. I was debating about fixing it, but it's damaged in here too. But I'm moving on. When you're hyper focused on this stuff and you're looking at all these little details, you get kind of hung up on perfection. Once this thing's in the car, if you did not see this video, you probably never even noticed that that's there. Okay, another downside to this particular, or going the dash cap route, is it doesn't go all the way here. This is part of the original pad, and you can see how I patched it up. If you're lucky, your dash pad won't be cracked in here, and then you could just re-dye it, give it a fresh look. But mine was cracked in here as well. So the dash cover, the dash cap is not going to cover that. So that's kind of a bad, but I don't think it's a big deal, because once you're sitting in the car and you're looking at the cluster like this, I don't think you're ever going to notice this stuff. And I think if they actually did have this area go down farther, you'd be dealing with a similar situation with, having to cut it out for this panel here. And it would just add another layer of complexity and, drama. This is a huge mistake I feel like I made. This car was actually an original sweeper dash. So this is what I call the sweeper dash. I call it the sweeper because the Speedo sweeps back and forth. It's basically the standard dash cluster. It's very common. It would be in Chargers, B71 to 74 B bodies. So satellites, Roadrunner. I think Roadrunner would probably have the Rallye dash, but it might be an option. In your RTs, any high performance car basically would have got the Rallye style dash, and all of your common cars. So even like Coronets, Satellite Sebrings, which are 4 doors in this generation, which is like my Danish friends here, they have a 72 Plymouth Satellite. All of those cars would have got this style dash. That's what the blue Charger came with originally. And I was being a smart guy and thought, how cool would it be to put the Rallye dash in it? Big mistake. Big mistake. I completely regret doing that. I understand if you have a high performance car, you know, like a 340, 383, 400, 440, you know, you want the Rallye dash, or it came with Rallye dash, you got to do that. But I completely regret doing it with that car, and this is why. Because these are so common, there's tons of them on eBay, all the little parts, you know, the clock, everything in the cluster, the switches, all readily available, cheap. You can get a whole cluster for, you know, a fairly decent price. I want to say I saw nice ones for around 200 bucks. There's obviously guys out there, you know, that want to fund their retirement on anything. And so some of them are kind of really expensive, but the really nice ones. But for the most part, you can get all the pieces that you need, or you can buy a complete set for a pretty decent price. Rallye dashes? No. No, these are hard to find. They're rare. And when you find them, they're expensive. I bought this cluster from a friend of mine a long time ago, and you know, it's I didn't pay a lot for it, so I can't really complain, but it's junk. It's completely junk. It's the plastic cover on it is cut up for stereo, so that's ruined. That's very common too, by the way. It's got a lot of rust in it, so you can see there the clock's full of rust. I can't remember now. I know I tested the gauges. I think all of them don't work. Everything, I mean, the only thing I can, even look at the plastic, it's kind of cracking there. The only thing good off of it is probably the frame, which these pretty much never go bad. I mean, those are usually the one piece that's good on these things. So when you're looking for these things, this is what you're gonna find. You're gonna find lots of these that are reasonably priced. I would say you'll find a junk one like this for probably, you're probably looking, I've seen them as cheap as 100 bucks. If you get lucky and you pull one gauge out of it and it works, I'd say it's probably worth that. But the other problem is that nobody tests them. You know, they always say untested, so you're buying at risk. And if you buy that whole thing for 100 bucks, like, that thing is trash. There's just wasted $100. I bought this one, which I feel like was a very good deal for what they're going for. In comparison, this one was a decent price. I think I paid 350 bucks for this one. Is it perfect? Not even close. So you can see the boss here is broken off. It should look like that. But that was kind of the only thing wrong with it. I think there might be maybe another crack, but it's in pretty good shape. You know, I repainted it, so my brown matches this brown. Tested all the gauges. The clock is no good, and my oil pressure gauge doesn't work, but all the rest of them work. And the faces look decent. I mean, this one's pretty faded. That's supposed to be, I think, like an orange color. I'm not sure. But anyway, this one's, that's a little faded, but not a big deal. I'm gonna live with it. I tried finding clocks. I saw on eBay some guy like mounted a different clock behind it, but it's a battery powered. You know, it looks really good. It looks like he took a clock like this and then he just modified it for battery. But problem is when the battery dies, you're gonna have to crawl under the dash and pull this out, and it's a pain in the ass getting in here. There's no way in hell I'm doing that. I've seen kits so you can go 12 volt on it. Basically take all the original stuff off, put the new unit behind it. I might do that, I don't know. We'll see. But I was unable to locate this guy, which is the fuel and the oil pressure in one for this particular one. I think 71 and 72 is like this. The 3s and 4s are different. These gauges basically changed. And then of course you have tick-tock tacks. So the other option here is that it's got a tachometer. And then you also have a different option here. You've got the 150 speedo like this one and 120 speedo. Not only are the Rallye dashes rare, but there is a variety of options, and depending on what, like the 150 speedo is a little harder to find than the 120 speedo. Clocks, I don't find any clocks except that battery powered modified one, and unable to find oil pressure gauge. And you have the different options here. So it seems to me like the 73s and 4s are more common. You can find those more often than the 71 and 2 style. All right, so I'm gonna say that's, well, this is probably the ugly. This was the bad. This is the good. The expense for the Rallye Dash, bad. Availability and you know, just being able to find the pieces you need, it's horrible. It's ugly. I'd say ugly. In fact, I found 0 options for this guy. Like, there's absolutely none. Let me back that up. There are nice Rallye Dashes for sale on eBay. Most of them are around $500 or $600, and I'm pretty sure they were not tested, so there's no guarantee that anything even works in them. You find one that's a piece of junk like in the shop, $100, and anything in between is around $350, it seems like to me. So keep that in mind. If your car came with that cluster, I recommend you stay with that cluster because cheaper, more available. Do not switch to Rallye unless your car was a Rallye Dash car and you absolutely got to have it. But keep in mind, you're going to pay for it. All right, that's it for this video.